Hello and welcome to True North EV. I'm James. I have a Hyundai Kona electric. I'm actually going on just over 13 months with it. And I actually just had my first actual service appointment. I guess they would call it the service one on my Hyundai Kona electric. It was quite interesting because I went and pulled into the dealership. They got like the drive-through service area. So you drive through kind of the garage deal and you get out, go to the desk, and right off the hop, they told me that it was going to be, I would need a full brake service. I have 20 at the time. I think I was about 22, just high 22,000 kilometer mark. They told me I was going to need a full brake service job, and that was going to be $180. I asked him how he knew it needed a full brake service job, and he told me because all electrics need a full service job every time they come, because of they're not using the brakes hardly ever. I declined the brake service job because I do understand EVs will need more brake servicing due to the lack of use. Now, full brake service without ever even looking at the brakes, that doesn't, I don't understand how you can tell that it needs a full brake service job just by me driving it. Especially when I call up another service center, a little independent shop, and they say, first off, we only charge $30 for brake inspection. So they'll check the brakes. If it needs actual work done and all that, to remove rust and grease the calipers and all that, they said it was $80, and then they waived the $30 inspection fee. So $80 versus the $180 that they wanted me to pay without ever looking at the vehicle. I actually called up another Hyundai dealership, and they actually told me that they wouldn't even really recommend it. Well, first, without actually looking at the vehicle. Secondly, they would recommend it at the 2-year mark. At the 2-year mark is probably when you would want to get that done. And I totally get that. After 2 years, grease and all that starting to dry out, you probably just need everything kind of lubricated, kind of just made pretty again. And you kind of get rid of the brake squeal. You know then your brakes are good if you need them. So that was the fun of that. It was... They never really told me what they actually looked at. They then told me that I needed an alignment, but on all this, I declined that also because I'll go to an independent shop and get my alignment and a brake inspection done through them, just because my level of trust has now dropped quite a bit with them. And so they told me I needed a 4-wheel alignment after they looked at it. So I declined that. But on the sheet that I got from them, there was nowhere on it that even said about an alignment or needing an alignment or anything. So now I question all that. So what I'm saying is, for all you out there who are new to electric vehicles, if your place that you go to get your vehicle worked on right away tells you need something done before they even look at the vehicle, unless it's something like super obvious that, let's say with a tire, you come in, there's obviously a big hole in the sidewall. Yeah, you could tell right away you need a new tire from that. You don't need to pull it in for that. But stuff like brakes and all that, there's no way of them actually knowing just by you pulling in. So I say question everything, especially when it comes to a dealership. Question it. Ask for proof if you need it. Tell them to take a picture, text you a picture of whatever. If they don't want to, I would say take it somewhere else. If they don't like you questioning it, take it somewhere else. You shouldn't be afraid to question what they tell you it needs. It's up to them to prove that it needs it. And so, like, they wanted me to spend $300, essentially. I think it was $300. It was about $300 between the alignment and the brakes for work they really couldn't justify to me it needed even. And so I was quite happy that I declined all that. But I guess it would have been $300 plus the $30 for what they call Service 1, which is basically a quick visual inspection of everything. But that was actually included in my cost, because they were very generous. It was included in my cost of buying the vehicle. So they waived the first service, which super generous, I guess. Yeah, it was done super quick. So I'm not totally sure what they even inspected. When I did call up the other Hyundai dealership, they actually informed me that they were at least very honest. They said normally with the electrics, they'd like it to come in every 6 months. And I think they said they call it a Service 2. It was $60 or $69.99. One of the two. $60 or $70 essentially. But that's a full inspection of brakes, suspension, cabin air filter, and just kind of the, I guess, tires and all that. But they said every 6 months. And it's like, I can respect that. It's, I guess, one of those things where it's not your $30 quick inspection, which I don't think really gets any real inspection. And I guess it's lubricating door hinges, door locks, that sort of thing, which, especially on a vehicle that's 1 year old, it's not such a priority. But I go with the every 6 months. If you go in for a service, you know how much it's going to be roughly every time you go. It's that peace of mind factor. I will be going to have my brakes checked out, maybe just cleaned up and greased, because I know I actually pulled my tires off and rotated them in June, and rotors and all that were perfectly good. There wasn't really any rust on anything, so I'm not sure where they're seeing all this rust and how it formed within 3 months roughly. But again, there's a reason I won't be going back to them. But so going on those, so vehicles had its first service. We will be mostly dealing with independent service shops. We have one that we use for work. It's locally owned and all that. But they actually do keep records of all the work they do on file for any warranty work. Like, so with a gas vehicle, it's if you don't get oil changes done and something happens to the motor, they can say that it was because you didn't have oil changes done. So I don't know what they would necessarily say that you aren't getting done with an electric vehicle, but just a quick inspection essentially of the vehicle is all that will be needed. Lubricating, checking suspension, checking brakes type deal is kind of all that's needed. So it's nothing that is super critical. I feel that you have to go to a dealership for. That being said, a lot of people feel more comfortable knowing that the manufacturer trained people are actually the ones looking at their vehicle, which, hey, if that's you, totally understandable. My wife was the same way with our previous vehicle, the Honda Insight. It was always at a Honda dealership ever since she bought it, and it was always at the same one. So they kind of had the record of everything that was done to it, which maybe that's what you like, especially if you're going to trade your vehicle in and get a new one every 5 years. Then maybe it makes, especially if you're going to know you're going to be dealing with that same dealership, then they always have a record of what has been done to the vehicle. But yeah, so there's that. It's coming up to winter. It's getting cold again. I actually picked up, it's called an OBD2 Bluetooth adapter. I'm working on getting, so you use the OBD2 port adapter, you connect it to your phone, and I have Torque Pro app installed. I'm not as computer literate as others I know, and so with this app, it actually, if you put in the right file, which I have the file, I'm figuring I need to figure out how to take that file and actually install it onto the app, and that will actually give me like each of the battery cell voltages, or I guess battery packs, because it's not a cell, it's a pack. Each of the battery pack temperatures, each of the battery pack voltages. It will actually give me the actual battery state of health percentage. It will give me the displayed state. So when your car says it's 100%, the battery might not actually be 100%. It might actually be working on that little extra of the battery pack. So it might, be at 98%, the actual battery. So it's just a nice way of actually seeing everything that's going on with the vehicle. I am going to test it on a gas vehicle, just because a gas vehicle, actually, there's a lot more info you can get from it without having to enter all the other little details and all the smart computer stuff. But I do have a coworker who has a vehicle that we're going to try it on and see what we can find or figure out with that, because he actually does have a check engine light, and this is supposed to read a check engine lights. I don't know, even those OBD2 scanners that you buy for $200 or whatever, they're not going to be able to read all codes. Also, there's codes that are called manufacturer specific codes. Those are ones that you would only be able to see at the dealership, essentially. Or I think some of the higher end, like $1,000 plus scanners, you can see some of them. I don't even know if you can see all of them, but you can see the majority of them. But it's just a way for manufacturers to actually force the customers to actually come back to them. Usually with the manufacturer specific codes, though, it's nothing actually really important. The really important ones, all scanners can actually read. So I do have this scanner. I'm going to be trying it out once I figure out how to make it work. I'm hoping to get some awesome info, see how much it actually degrades, especially with the winter, it being outside, just because it is outside. I don't have a garage or anything, so it's making the battery pack essentially the coldest it can be type deal. It's so with it being super cold and charging versus being super cold and not charging, because I do only charge about once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes. It kind of depends if we're going out anywhere that needs actually a longer drive. I charge it at about 50%. Once I hit about 50% in that area, then I actually charge the car. So I'm not sure if that's the right way. I know the dealership, that other dealership, has told me that I can charge up to 100% all the time without any issues. So that's why I just go from about 50% to 100% and just kind of keep going with that. I think the book says once a month or once every 2 months, you are supposed to drain it all the way down to about the 20% mark and then fully charge it. It just helps maintain the battery, kind of recalibrate them and make them happy again. So yeah, there's all that fun. So I think that's about it with the Kona. Yeah, not a whole lot else. I am with the Miva projects. I did this past weekend completely, or not completely, because I'm still waiting for one dealership to contact me and let me know actually what they got. But I have done the list of what is available in Manitoba, as far as I can tell, for new or used, either full electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. And there is a lot of 2017 Chevy Bolts available, which is fantastic. They're, I guess, off lease. So all the 2017s are coming in, and you can pick up some amazing deals on electrics right now. The other thing that's going on with Miva is we got a meeting coming up next Wednesday. So if you guys sign up on the Miva website, and you could actually get it emailed. So next Wednesday is going to be our essentially car talk. If you want to talk about electrics, have questions about your electric, we try to avoid all politics and all kind of non-car talk, I guess, with that. And then actually with it being October, it's so end of the month, last Thursday of the month of October, we are also having our AGM, annual general meeting. It will be on Zoom. So if you want to become a member of Miva, or you want to see who's running, or if you are a member of Miva and would like to join the board, so I guess last Thursday of the month is the time to join. So yeah, hopefully it's a great turnout and all this new fantastic stuff that's going on with electrics, all these new promises from manufacturers saying that they're moving electric vehicles quicker. The Hummer unveiling is October 20th online. So hopefully that means we're going to get way more electric vehicles coming to the market, way more bigger electrics with, I guess, truck type. I don't know what we want to call the Hummer, if we want to call it a truck or an SUV. It's weird hybrid type vehicle. I guess it also does a crab walk, so it is a weird hybrid type vehicle. But yeah, we're getting way more. I think the Ford F-150 electric is supposed to come out end of next month. So hopefully my work will look at getting some of those. It'd be nice to at least drive an electric truck, especially come winter. It really sucks coming from a nice toasty warm vehicle that's warm within a block to having to let the truck run for 20 minutes before it actually warms up. So I just freeze for the first portion of the morning. But so hopefully the company will start looking at electric trucks, switching out some of those vehicles, And hopefully, if you guys work for companies that you do need to drive a company vehicle, hopefully your company or the company you work for is looking at electrics, especially with the new write-up of the Tesla Model 3s that are being used for cop cars. Don't care how you guys feel about the cops. I go with cop car is greatly abused, essentially. So it's a perfect test ground for essentially. Well, most work vehicles are greatly abused. People treat them like a rental vehicle. It's not theirs, so they treat them a lot harsher, which makes going electric actually that much better because you don't have to worry about all the wear and tear on the engines. I know even with my work truck, it's a Ford F-150. It has a little reading. Essentially, there's the kilometers, but in a menu behind it, you can actually see how many hours the motor itself has just sat there idling, which is way harder on a vehicle, which is why with the police getting Tesla Model 3s, or even the European police are getting like Konas and ID3s, all sorts of other electrics. With them sitting there idling so much, going electric makes way more sense. And if you're the type that actually also buys ex-government vehicles, because you can get amazing deals on them, they are fairly well maintained. Like, it's not that they're necessarily skipping oil changes, because I don't pay for the oil change, so I make sure to get it done as soon as it needs it. So they are fairly well maintained vehicles. But so if you're the type that buys ex-government vehicles, you can, in a few years, could be some great Tesla Model 3 ex-police cars out there for you to pick up at an amazing deal, because it's going to have a lot of kilometers. It's going to be treated harder. So it could be a great purchase. As far as the trucks go, it's going to, like, I know my truck it's a 2015 and it's almost at 100,000 kilometers. And that was with it sitting for a year before I got there. So it's 4 years with 100,000 kilometers in 4 years. So they do have their higher mileage vehicles, which leads to it not mattering as much for an electric. Because, it's got quite a bit more life left in it. It's also... Actually, I recommend if you got a company, get a Cybertruck. Then you don't have to even worry about paint issues or rust. Especially here up in Canada, the rust issues, especially in Eastern Canada. When I used to work at a dealership, it was always said you don't buy vehicles from out east. Tesla Model S won't be as bad. I guess S and X. Any basically aluminum vehicle that doesn't have a rusting issue, you don't have to worry about all the salt. So yeah, they make great used vehicles. Electrics make great used vehicles. You don't have to worry about what kind of treatment it had. So, on that note, I feel like I'm just rambling, so I'm going to be cutting it off here. As I said earlier, MIVA meeting is next Wednesday to chat about vehicles. Sign up on the MIVA website and the Manitoba Electric Vehicle Association. You can just Google it, or it's on Facebook, and you could go there. So that's next Wednesday. I don't have a calendar. That would be the 14th. So October 14th, that's when that meeting is. And then the last Thursday of each month is our Zoom meeting, which can be, it's kind of just about Could be politics thrown in there. So essentially politics being like government policies, what we're trying to kind of get going. And yeah, kind of just could be a mixture of anything electric vehicle related, however that may look. So yeah, go check out Manitoba Electric Vehicle Association. Sign up, become a member, run on the board, be fantastic. There's that. You can go check out Kilowatt, which is going to be in the link. Kilowatt Podcast and EV Resources. Both those guys do more of the news side of things. A lot more knowledgeable in that side of stuff. And then if you just want something fun and silly and whatever, but knowledgeable, I'd say go check out the Two Idiots podcast. And on that note, I'm going to say toodles. You guys can reach out to me at truenorthev@gmail.com, truenorthevpodcast@gmail.com. Both of those work. Both of those get you to me. If you're listening to this on Anchor, you can leave essentially a voicemail. There's a phone link type deal, so you can leave a voicemail, and I listen to those. I'm now posting onto YouTube. I'm trying to get slowly and steadily getting some back ones. I don't know how quickly this one will go up onto YouTube, but you can leave a comment on there. Like and subscribe. And you can reach me on Facebook at True North EV podcast, and on Twitter at True North EV. And yeah, so you can like, subscribe on most podcast deals. Tell a friend about me. And if you are someone that a friend has told you about me, and any question, comments, complaints can be directed at those email accounts. And you guys have yourself a great week. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.